Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. Ration cards and Revolt. London, 1942. The city bore the heavy scars of nearly 3 years of war. The thunderous drone of German bombers had become a grim lullaby for so many, yet life pushed insistently forward beneath the rubble and ash. Streets once bustling with laughter and commerce were now lined with queues snaking around ration offices and grim-faced grocers. Food was precious, carefully measured, divided into coupons and rations that no one dared waste. Still, hunger cracked through the seams of civility, especially in the East End where the war felt closest and the hunger deepest. Amid this strained quagmire lived Lily Carmichael, a girl of 17 whose spirit defied the ever-tightening grip of wartime scarcity. Her family's small flat in Bethnal Green was cramped but kept alive with bursts of laughter from Lily's 5 younger siblings and the comfort of her mother's stubborn hope. Their father had left 2 years earlier, enlisted in the army and now missing in action somewhere in North Africa. Since then, the burden of survival had fallen on her mother's frail but steadfast shoulders. Lily had always been known for her bright eyes and quick wit. She mended ragged clothes, sewed buttons, and helped tally rations when the lines stretched around the block. But each day, as she listened to the whispered conversations of neighbors and the steady rationing announcements, she felt the rising tide of desperation and injustice swirl beneath the surface of ordinary life. The ration system, meant to equalize scarcity, was flawed, full of cracks through which the wealthy slipped easily, and the poor often fell through entirely. One chilly afternoon, as Lily shuffled through the crowded market, clutching the thin ration card that barely allowed her family a meager portion of meat and bread, she overheard a whispered exchange between a grocer and a shadowy figure. Packages changed hands discreetly, coins exchanged with a cautious urgency. The grocer pocketed the money, his eyes flickering with the promise of more forbidden profit. This was the black market, the hidden economy of hunger and survival. Her heart quickened. It was dangerous, illegal, and risky beyond measure, but it was also hope. In a city where the state's ration cards controlled the fate of millions, unofficial channels removed such restrictions for those with the courage, or desperation, to seek them out. She wondered if she could make a difference, not just for her own family but for the unseen many struggling within her community. That night, beneath the dim glow of a single candle, Lily laid out a rough plan on the kitchen table. She would start small, a network of trusted neighbors and friends who had goods to exchange or spare ration coupons. She called it the exchange. Instead of money, people could barter what little they had: scarce vegetables from a hidden garden, extra bacon scraps, a bit of sugar slipped away for trade. The goal was not profit but balance, a grassroots redistribution of food where official channels had failed. "I know it's dangerous," Lily told her mother, her voice firm yet trembling. "But if we don't do something, we starve. Everyone is starving." Her mother looked at her, worry deep in her eyes, but on that night, she simply nodded. News traveled quickly in Bethnal Green. Within a week, the exchange had grown from one neighbor's kitchen to the back room of Mrs. Harris' bakery and then to a network of small homes in the alleys of the borough. People came with bags of potatoes, home-canned fruits, secret stashes of butter, and ration coupons pinned with care. Through whispered words and careful listening, Lily coordinated who needed what and who could provide it. A discarded bit of cheese here, a scrap of meat there, all assembled into meals that would stave off starvation. The operation required stealth. The government inspectors and food officers were harsh, patrolling the streets for any sign of illegal trading. Being caught meant jail, or worse, the destruction of your family's good name and livelihood. Lily moved like a shadow through the city, always alert, always cautious, blending into groups of workers or hopping onto crowded double-decker buses while clutching her parcels close. "We're risking everything," her older brother John said the first time she told him about the exchange. John had returned recently from working in a munitions factory and was wary. "If the ministry finds out, what then? They'll take everything from us. But what if they don't find out? What if this is how we survive in the meantime?" Lily countered, her voice steady, carrying the weight of her resolve. "We're not criminals, we're just trying to live." John folded his arms but did not argue further. The family knew the line between survival and crime was perilously thin during war, but with each passing day of hunger, the line blurred more. Weeks turned into months, and the network expanded beyond Bethnal Green into other boroughs. Lily recruited others, young men and women who carefully transported goods, made contact with sympathetic shop owners, and collected ration coupons from those willing to share. Each exchange was a pulse in the city's hidden lifeblood, a quiet rebellion against the cruel distillation of war and scarcity. But as the exchange grew, so did the dangers. One bitter November evening, Lily's worst fears crept into reality when two stern-faced men in plain clothes approached her as she was returning from a hidden drop-off point. "Miss Carmichael," one said sharply, flashing a badge. "You're under suspicion for participating in unauthorized trading. We have reports that you have been operating an illegal black market food exchange." Lily's heart pounded. She glanced behind them, seeing the narrow shadowed alley, the tram tracks glistening with rain. Her mind raced. To resist was futile. To comply was to endanger her entire family. "I don't know what you're talking about," she whispered, hands trembling as she pushed past them. The men grabbed her arm quickly. "Come with us." News of the arrest spread through the streets like wildfire. The Carmichael family held their breath, their lives balanced on the edge of a knife. The black market ring, though clever, had been betrayed. Someone must have informed authorities. It could have been anyone. Inside the sterile interrogation room, Lily faced harsh questions and accusations. The officers pressed for names and contacts, but Lily's loyalty held fast. She bore the weight of truth and deceit, knowing one slip could condemn everyone she loved. Days later, her mother and siblings were visited by officers who confiscated ration cards and imposed a strict curfew. The family's reputation was tarnished, neighbors whispering behind drawn curtains about criminal sympathies. The war itself did not seem so distant now. The front had come home. But even in hardship, Lily's spirit did not break. In the cold gloom of the prison cell, she clung to the thought that what she did was right. That sometimes defiance in the face of injustice was the only way to survive. Her trial was swift, but her story touched a nerve not just in courtroom galleries but in many hearts quieted by hunger. Letters poured in from strangers, many sharing their own struggles, thanking her for reminding them that struggle during war was universal, and sometimes, resistance was the only hope. Lily was sentenced to a year in a detention center, but as she was led away, she met her mother's gaze through the courtroom window. It was filled with pride, not shame. Months passed. Outside, the war dragged on, and London kept breathing the terrible beauty of survival. Inside, Lily found kindred spirits. Others arrested for small acts of rebellion, for daring to protect their communities. They spoke of a future where food and kindness would no longer be rationed, where no child would wait in hunger lines. Upon her release, the city was beginning to feel the hopeful tremors of victory. The Blitz had ended, but rationing remained. Still, the lessons of the exchange lingered, of solidarity, courage, and the refusal to be starved into submission. Lily returned to Bethnal Green to a cautious welcome, but with her came a quiet promise. She would devote herself to rebuilding the shattered communities, ensuring that no family would have to endure the nights of hunger she knew so well. The war had taken much, but it could not take their spirit. Her story, whispered on the wind and in the pages of diary and newspaper, became a testament. Even in the darkest wartime shadows, ordinary people, especially ordinary young women, could ignite the flames of resistance and hope with nothing more than courage and the will to share. For more stories, like and subscribe.